Hi, so we're going to be looking at the simple Zener based regulator and how that can be built on Breadboard. I'm using a Pebble Pickaxe online electronic breadboard emulator. It's free, which makes it good, but it has its limitations. So we'll start with the diodes D3 and D4. This is the diode symbol here. I'm going to drag 1 and then 2, and we note they join on the same track, and that the cathodes, the black bars here, which correspond to these bars here and here, point to the power rail at the top. We're going to do exactly the same for D2 and D5, but on the other side. And we're going to join D3 and D2 together at the top using a wire, and that will be our power. And we'll do the same for the ground here, but we'll change its colour, double click, turn it to black. V1 will join on this point here and this point there, and there'll be a diagram showing how to do that later. We now have the capacitor, 470 microfarad electrolytic capacitor. This is the template for capacitor. Drag it into your circuit, double click it, select electrolytic and a large size, and we've got it connected to ground here. The negative points to ground, but we need to connect the positive to the power rail, so we'll need a short wire to do that. Double click and change its colour. And that is all of this part of the circuit completed now. The next part deals with the regulator itself, and we're using a ZTX689B transistor, and the template for that is this here, which we won't need to change at all. I'm just going to drag it somewhere like that. We'll note that the power rail joins to the collector of Q1, the transistor. So we're going to take power from here and we're going to join it down to there. We're going to get a wire, as usual, change its span, and change a span of 10. So that joins to the collector from power. Next part's a little bit complicated. We're going to go through a resistor, and we're going to go through a Zener diode, and eventually we're going to go through a multimeter to ground. And the junction of these two connects to the base of the transistor there. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to get a resistor, double click, change its orientation, and I'm also going to get a diode. I'm going to change its orientation. We know that Zeners always operate with the negative band, its cathodic band, pointing to the power rail, as we've got in the schematic here. I'm just going to drag that to perhaps a position like that. We're going to get a wire here and a wire there. Change the span of that one. Change the colour of this one. I always like to keep things colour coded so I know where I am. And the junction of these two joins to the base of the transistor, which is there. So I'm going to get yet another wire, and that's going to join across, change its span. That should do it. Not too much. Change its colour again. Now that's pretty much it, apart from we need some points where to connect our multimeter and our resistance box, and also a ground point which connects this bottom part of the circuit here to ground there. So the first part is we'll get a wire, and that will join to the ground point here. We'll change its colour and span a little bit, so we'll double click on it. We'll take that down, perhaps 9, see how we go with that one. One more, I think, one more. 10. So what that means is that we can join our multimeter, we could join it, for example, here between here and here. And we can join our resistance box between here and here. It doesn't really matter where you put this wire, as long as it's on a track on its own where you've got points where you can join your multimeter and your resistance box between it. But it's this wire here which connects the rest of the circuit together, so it's got to be there. But that is effectively it. There's a picture coming which shows you some test points. It's slightly different to this because I always for some reason do it slightly different every time, but it's the same principle. I hope that's helped you out.